Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to another episode of your show, The Untold. My name is Daij Al-Hotari, and I'm here with my colleague, Hibal Gahtani. How are you doing?
Well, we're doing great, and it's always a pleasure being here with you. And hopefully, everyone is really excited to know more about today's episode. When we're talking more about studying, it's very important to always be adjusted, especially when it comes into being, let's say, outside of your
Yes.
own, let's say, country. So I'm very sure in today's guest, we're going to elaborate and know more about that kind of concept.
Yes, definitely. Today we are going to meet Mr. Asad Mirza, and he have his own untold story. So how about we go ahead and take this quick break and go back to you, dear viewers, with our dear guest. Stay with us. All right, welcome back, dear viewers, to the studio. And of course, we would like to welcome you, Mr. Asad Mirza, to our episode. I mean, today is going to be a little bit special because you're going to tell us about your field, your journey, your untold story. So basically, can you give us just a brief about who are you to the camera, and then we will talk more about your story.
Sure. So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Asad. I'll be talking about myself. So I grew up here in Kuwait. I did my high school education here. I graduated from high school, and then growing up, I've always had a passion for business and economics. I actually fell in love with my economics classes at a young age, and that's why I joined my university in a business administration program with a specialization in finance. So I was thankfully enrolled into the #1 ranked university in Canada.
That's nice.
The University of Toronto is ranked 17th globally as well. And I can summarize my experience in 3 ways. During my university, I did 3 things. The first thing I did was I led the largest management club at my university. It oversaw 2,500 management students. I had to oversee 18 clubs. I had to keep a close relationship with my professors. So it was the most competitive position that I was in. I would say it's one of my biggest accomplishments.
Lots of responsibilities.
For sure, it was a lot of responsibilities, a lot of event planning. I also brought in speakers from big companies like the Big Four, as people call it. The second thing I did was I did an internship at a big bank, one of the biggest banks in North America. I did an internship there for 4 months. It was a great experience. I worked at one of the biggest financial hubs in the world on Bay Street, second to Wall Street. And the last experience I could talk about, I joined an investment club. So I did equity research. So basically what that is I looked up companies, I evaluated their financials, I analyzed them, and I basically pitched the stock to people or investors, and I recommended whether they should buy or sell the stock. And then I got promoted to a portfolio manager as well, and I basically did coverage on healthcare stocks and technology stocks, and that was basically my experience at my university.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just graduated
Congrats.
about a couple months ago. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. And now I'm here in Kuwait, so I'm actually looking now for full-time opportunities.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it was great to
Yeah.
be back, for sure.
It was really quite, let's say, of a journey that you actually had with great responsibilities being mentioned, let's say, mentioning that. And talking more about the field itself, we're talking about numbers, we're talking about ups and downs, and things could actually, let's say, happen and flip within seconds.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about such field, people would consider that this is very challenging. It's very, let's say, time consuming, and you're, let's say, analyzing lots of things at the same time. Looking at specific circumstances could lead to any kind of, let's say, incidents that could actually happen. So talking about that, do tell us more about, let's say, what really triggers you in choosing this as a path and career, especially as you just highlighted to us this kind of quite of a busy journey that you actually had during your college life itself.
Sure. So first of all, I want to say that there is definitely a stigma that surrounds finance. When people think about finance, they think that you have to be very good at numbers.
Right.
They think you have to be very smart and, nerdy, you could say. They're very good with analyzing data and good at these sort of things. But I think that a large part of being good at finance is being able to tell a story.
Right.
So that's actually the reason why I had a passion for finance, is because It was at a young age in my economics classes at high school. And my teacher, Mr. Jeanette, shout out to him, he actually uh, first introduced me to the experience in the world of economics and finance in general. And the key thing that I could take away from that is you have to explain a story behind the numbers. So when you see like a trend that's happening or an up and down, you have to explain a reason why that's happening. You have to give a reason why. And that also comes from various aspects. You have to look at the current market trends. You have to read the news. You have to see what's going on in the world, and that basically keeps you up to date with what's happening in the world. And being sort of in that kind of mindset is what makes you succeed at finance. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something that inspired my passion for finance. Yeah.
So when it comes to motivation, who motivated you actually to pursue the career?
Definitely it was my economics teacher. But what kept me motivating is during my university, I found a good group of friends. I think that, one quote that I thought was very insightful was that, if you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth millionaire.
Yeah.
That's right.
And if you surround yourself with anybody of the other sort, then you'll be the sixth person of that.
Yeah.
And so I applied that kind of mentality because, when you go to the West or you go to a very international school, you'll find all kinds of people. And the important thing is you have to find the people that share your own vision and interests. So I found my own group of people, and I found one really good friend of mine. I still talk to him today. He's currently doing an investment banking full time. And he was someone that connected me to people and professionals in the field. And when you're surrounded by these kind of people, first of all, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the field, and you learn about the necessary things that are required to succeed in that position. Of course, I wanted to be in a finance role and capital markets and being on things like the trading floor or valuing companies and recommending things to investors. And so, the people that I was surrounded with were people that motivated me for sure because, they really push you. They tell you about the hard work and dedication it takes to actually get to where you want to be. And, without having that environment around you, it's very hard
kind of
to
support. Yes, it's very important.
It's very important. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really amazing to hear about. And it's very also great to hear that you actually had that kind of support when it comes into that matter and that
For
kind
sure.
of sense of awareness and responsibility when it comes into it. So talking more about that, I'm very sure let's say being here in Kuwait and then traveling abroad again and coming back again could actually let you, let's say, get involved with different kind of cultures, fusion of culture itself. So do tell us about that kind of, let's say, incident and story when it comes into that kind of memory. Let's say being here in Kuwait and then going to Canada and
The
even
culture
having
shock.
and having that family sense and different friends I'm very sure that you actually had during their journey. So do tell us about these kind of, let's say, memories that you had during that time itself.
Sure. So in Kuwait, I would describe Kuwait as a very simple life, but alhamdulillah, it's a very good life as well. Because the main thing that's the difference between here and the West is, of course, the society is a lot more liberal there. Of here is more conservative, and of course, because of the aspect of religion. And one big thing that shocked me is that there's a lot of distractions. And I think that is very important. And my advice definitely is to stay away from those distractions because not only will it bring you down, you'll see people that have a lot of friend groups surrounding these distractions, but it's very important to stick to your own path. And Kuwait actually is sort of like a plane that's taking off. You're in a plane with these people that are very well focused and very determined on what they want to do in their life, and they have good values and good morals. And when you take off, you don't want to crash. You want to keep flying in that upward trajectory. And you'll realize in the long run you'll thank yourself. You'll thank yourself because you stuck to what you wanted to accomplish and you didn't get distracted. And that's definitely a challenge, but it's very rewarding as well because if you stick to to your goals, you'll thank yourself in the end. And like I said before, also find your own group of people. And so, of course, there's a very big difference as well because the entire financial ecosystem is different. Here in Kuwait,
It's definitely here and there.
definitely is different here and there. There's a lot more companies there. People are generally have a perception of the West that is very popular, and people want to go there to make a living and things like that. And that's true to some extent. But at the same time, yeah, you always want to be focused on what you want to achieve as well, and you have to make sure you have a vision and drive. So that's something always to keep in mind.
Yeah. Like, how did you adapt to these different, uh, culture differences when you arrived there, and what kind of strategies that helped you integrate to this new environment?
Definitely. So, one thing that I did is, of course, here the majority of people here, the demographic here is, of course, Muslim dominated. It's an Islamic country, alhamdulillah, and I wanted to have that same kind of supportive environment there. So, I joined the Muslim Student Association. The friends I made were also Muslims. My roommates that I shared my houses with, they're also Muslims. I always try to look for that, because if you don't share the same values, the same morals, then you're gonna have disputes over it in the long
It's gonna
run.
be a very difficult.
Yeah, very
thing.
difficult time, of course. And one big thing that I also didn't mention is that I had to live by myself. So I had a family in Canada, of course. I have my grandparents there, my uncles and my aunties. But I have to live by myself because I'm the one that's in university. I'm the one that's doing the courses. So yeah, so I had to live by myself and had to learn how to, cook for myself, do my laundry.
Be responsible.
Be responsible for yourself. And here in Kuwait, of course, there's a lot of people that can do those things for you. Here is my family. My dad and my mom are here, my brother and my sister. They're there to entertain me, to give me a good time, to give me good food, to always make sure that I'm looking dressed appropriately. And there in Canada, you have to make sure that you take care of yourself also. That's a big thing. And that's a lesson that I learned, is you have to be able to respect yourself. And for example, going to the gym, having a routine in place.
To be disciplined.
You have to be disciplined. Here in Kuwait, when I was in high school, of course, I had a routine. I had a routine to wake up early in the morning, eat breakfast, get ready for school, go to school, come back, and then do your homework. That was a routine. But when you go to Canada and you go to university, there's nobody that's telling you to wake up early. There's nobody that's telling you.
All on you.
It's all on you. Yeah. So I had to develop a routine for myself. I wanted to make sure that I wake up early in the morning, and then I wanted to make sure that I have a meal prepared in the morning for breakfast. And then I made sure that I went to the gym 5 days a week, and for 2 hours, and I had a gym buddy. And when you have that kind of a routine for you, not only does it make you motivated, because in your brain you think, okay, I accomplished this one thing every day. If I got this one thing out of the way that was uncomfortable for me, that tried to put me in a situation where I had to get this task done, then it kind of conditions your brain in a way to, what's the next task? It pushes yourself. It gets you out of that lazy hole that you find yourself in, and it's a big trap, especially if you're alone and you really don't have people telling you what to do. You have to be strong enough to have that respect for yourself, and the good thing is that once you do have that routine, is other people can see that in you. Other people can see that you're driven and that you take care of yourself.
Determination. That's full of determination.
Yeah, definitely. And people can see that. People see that in your face. People see it in the things that you do. They see you out more. They talk to you more. And yeah, that's definitely something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really quite interesting to hear that. So, a quick question before we head to a break is, sometimes when we connect people to what they study, is we always try to figure an image for them. So when it comes into finance analysts, there's always a laptop and there's always charts. So is that really true?
Yes, definitely the laptop part for sure. And yeah, you're going to be on the computer screen for the most part.
Yes.
But you're also going to be talking to people. That's a big part of it too. I would say it like this. Usain Bolt said this. He said that I trained 9 years to run 9 seconds. So similar in finance, you train all of your university education on a laptop. You train even on the job, you train with a laptop, only to speak with someone very important to try to sell something to them face to face.
Yeah.
So you're preparing all this time on the laptop just to speak to someone for a few seconds. And that's really what it is most of the time. So yeah, so in finance, definitely it's preparing yourself, getting yourself geared towards what's going on around you, and then preparing something to present in front of somebody. So
All right.
yeah.
All right, that's cool. All right, so I guess it's time for this quick break, and then we'll be back, dear viewers. So stay with us. All right, and we are back, dear viewers, with our guest, Mr. Asad Mirza. So basically, let's now talk about the challenges that you faced, going all the way from Kuwait to Canada and abroad, and of course there has to be some challenges personally and professionally at the same time. So let's talk about these.
Sure. So first, I'll talk about the professional aspect. So here in Kuwait, I'm very well connected. Of course, I have most of my friends were here at the time, and of course my family, and my family were very well connected in jobs, and they could refer me to a position, for example, if I wanted one. But when you go to Canada, it's like you're just a little dot in a whole world, like a piece of sand in the ocean, you could say. And you have to start from scratch. You have to be able to network with people and really put yourself out there, because there isn't really people that that are already there that are willing to help you. You have to make that initial connection. So it's very hard to make a professional connection in Canada, because it's a new place relatively, and you have to kind of make a name for yourself. And the way you do that is by putting yourself out there. You have to go to networking events. You have to email a whole bunch of people, and maybe you send 100 emails and only 10 of them get back to you. And from those 10 people that get back to you, only 2 want to talk to you, and then only 1 will end up giving you an interview, for example. And that's kind of the way it works. And it's very rare that you find someone giving it to you on a gold platter. And so on a professional aspect, that is one of the big challenges that I faced.
Even though you have family there that can maybe give you some network here or there.
Yeah, even though I have family there, even though they can give a network, it's not as easy as it is here in Kuwait. I think the culture here in Kuwait is they're very helpful people, and they're very loving.
They support each other.
They support each other. They want to see each other, be in a good position. And I would say over there it's a more colder, you could say. It's not as welcoming. They want to see you earn your place.
Yeah.
And that was a challenge that I faced professionally. The other challenge on a personal level was, like I said before, is you have to live by yourself, and you have to make sure that you're motivated enough to wake up in the morning every day and
like what you
go.
Previously mentioned.
Yeah, like what I previously mentioned, and go for the goals that you accomplished. And another challenge is personally is not being distracted, and it's an everyday thing. It's an everyday struggle, and you have to make sure you surround yourself with the people that you share the same vision and values with, and you'll thank yourself in the end, because once you pursue the goals that you want to pursue, it doesn't matter what field it's in, whether it's finance or art or music or whatever it is. If you surround yourself with people that share the same vision as you, then they'll help you get to the place where you want to be.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and so that's that definitely a challenge, is finding those people and making sure that you find those people, find out where they are, how to talk to them.
The moment you arrive, this is the main goal, I guess. You have to look for these people, stick with them, and then keep going.
Yeah. And I believe everything happens at the right time. So what you're going through is basically what a normal, let's say, graduate do actually face, especially when they're into a business administrative position, is the challenges out there in the market and being presented in that kind of sense. Maybe I think the thing is different when it comes into Kuwait. It's talking more about the society itself, more of a small community, and even when it comes into business rising and so on, there are opportunities could be given, and hopefully that you're going to have and seize your chance. And as I just said, everything happens within the time itself. So one of the most important challenging thing is to have an interview, or once you are in an interview, you have to manage to succeed in it. So the most challenging thing, I'm very sure you're associated with, is these kind of triggering questions. So do tell us more about that kind of, let's say, sense of environment that you faced. Maybe, let's say, a question that you didn't prepare yourself to, because I've seen it, and my brother works as an accountant, so I do remember these kind of memories when he used to go and enter, and these questions was like, that was really random, like, in that kind of sense.
Yeah, definitely. The interview process is very rigorous, and the people that you talk to in the professional context, like if you're talking to a hiring manager or a managing director, someone who's very high level, they always want to see certain characteristics from the people they're talking to. They want to see hunger. They want to see that you're actually wanting the position. They want to see that you have sort of a passion for what you're applying for, and they want to see it in your effort through constant communication. It's one thing to have a good interview, but it's also another thing to have action following the interview and before the interview. So before the interview, you want to show that you're very well prepared, you have everything in place, you have everything, like for example, a spelling mistake, they will catch on to that. And they'll think that, you know, they have this perception of you that, oh, maybe you don't double check your work, for example. And after the interview, you know, you have to send a follow-up email, say thank you for your time and things like that. And during the interview, like you mentioned, it can be very rigorous for sure. Some interviews I've had, they're like 3 or 4 rounds. After one interview, okay, there's a second interview, and then there's a third interview, there's a fourth interview. Like, you know, when does it end?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the first interview is usually with a hiring manager. They ask you about your they call it behavioral questions. So they ask you, like, what's your biggest weakness? What's your biggest strength?
Where do you see yourself in 5
5
years?
years,
Yeah, where do you see yourself? That's a big one for sure. And most of the time with these questions, you can prepare for them. You just have to say bullet points. Say like, okay, I lived in Kuwait. I aspire to be this, and then you just talk about it. You have to make sure that you plan those things in your head. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna go through this list. And like you said, when you come across a question that you're not prepared for, it's okay to say that, can I have a moment to think about this? It's much better than to give an answer that you're not prepared for and you just look like you're rambling and you don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's much better to take a moment to pause and think, especially if it's a complicated question. And the person on the other end of the table, they'll see, okay, this guy, he wants to give a good answer. And they'll actually respect that you're taking the time to think about what you want to say, and that's the way I would approach an answer that you wouldn't be prepared for. Yeah.
Fair enough. So when it comes to lessons, what kind of lessons you learned from your international experience and that you apply to your career?
A lesson I would say is stay motivated, stay strong, and be confident in your ability to succeed. Don't be shy to put yourself in uncomfortable environments. In fact, I think it's very important to strive for those uncomfortable environments. The more the more you put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
The more you adapt. Right?
Yeah, like for example, going to the gym. You know, who wants to go to the gym every single day? People will think that it's uncomfortable, you know, like I have to wake up and I really have to go and try hard. And that's for an example of putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation. And when you put yourself in those situations, or it could even be like talking to someone that you haven't, like approaching someone and saying hi to them and say like, hey, I'm interested in this field. I noticed that you are also in this field. Do you think we can connect? So some people are not able to do that because they're not confident in themselves. And so that's one valuable, you could call it networking, but that's one very valuable lesson that I would say is be confident to approach people and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And the more you do that, the more you're comfortable with it, the more that you're going to do it over and over again. And that's how you grow.
It's easier than later, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be much easier for you, and you're going to make your entire personality like that. And I believe that's how you grow as a person. You know, like how do you grow is physically, mentally, is you have to be putting yourself in new situations you haven't seen before, so you learn from them. And that's one big lesson I would say. And the second thing is work hard, work very hard, because I heard this quote. I always quote people. I
like that. Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, like the Usain Bolt thing. But one quote I could say is Tom Brady. He's a really famous NFL player. He said that it's not about being successful. Is not about being talented. It's about doing things that most people would not do. And what is that? Right? That's hard work. You have to be willing to put in the work that other people are not willing to work to do. And so, you know, that's waking up early, and that's working hard, like chasing your dreams and chasing after your dreams that other people are not willing to do. Some people will only work 1 hour a day, for example, or they may spend 1 hour on TikTok or social media and aimlessly. I'm not saying that social media is not a bad thing to do or pursue.
It's a distraction.
It's a distraction, you could say, for example, unless you're in social media and that's your job or in your career path, and of course it's not a distraction, it's your job. But if it's just something that you do just to waste time, then obviously then there's going to be somebody else in the world who's not doing that. There might be somebody else that's working harder than you. And that's the person that's probably going to get the job before you or get the goal before you. So you have to be able to work hard. And once you work hard,
I guess it all falls under the term time management. You have to manage your time.
Definitely manage your time. Yeah.
Overcome being shy. That's a second. So you have to be confident. I guess yes, this is all you need to what it takes to
That's definitely what it takes. And yeah, and also be kind. I think you have to be humble and be kind and have humility and things like this. And those are also lessons that Islam teaches us here in Kuwait. Is you can't really be a show off. You can't really say, oh, I did this and I did that, and
nobody likes that.
nobody likes
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and people can see that, and you always have to say, like, put yourself in a position to learn and listen to other people. You know, if you look at the most successful people, they're not the ones that are talking the most. They're the ones that are listening the most. They're the ones that are asking the questions, and they're the ones that are listening to the answers.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that are saying, oh, this and this and this. But yeah, that's something that
They're
you
the
should
one
keep in
that
mind.
their work actually speaks about them. Like
Yeah.
what they actually do does reflect them in a way.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So one of the most important thing is you mentioned motivation. So to have motivation is something very great and important. But when it comes into you today, and especially talking about motivation and in your career and giving yourself more of a push in order to go to next interviews and to enter and to have your own path in that kind of sense. Like tell us more about that kind of sense of motivation.
Sure. So I think I'll talk about things that aren't motivating. So when you get a rejection, for example, or when you fail at an interview or you don't get the offer that you want, people can be put down by that.
Right.
But I think a valuable lesson to learn from that is the more no's you get, the closer you are to getting a yes.
Right.
You know, eventually there's a yes somewhere in the future, and the more no's you get, you'll eventually get to the yes.
Indeed.
And that's motivating. You know, you always want to keep your eye on the end prize, and ultimately it's the qadr of Allah. It's the destiny.
Right.
So
It's the destiny.
it's if something didn't happen your way that you expected it to, then of course you have to put your trust in Allah. And a lot of people don't really see the beauty in that, especially in the West. You know, people don't have that mentality. And if you adopt that mentality and you put your trust in the greater good, and you know that there's a plan for you that you may not know now, then that will really help you get over the down period, and it'll keep you focused on track. So definitely have faith in yourself and have faith in the future and what's happening around you, and always keep a relationship with your spiritual side of yourself. That's a very important part.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we are reaching the end of the episode, but before we wrap it, we would like you to give us an advice for those who are, who tend to, travel and study abroad, like in a professional wise. So go ahead and tell us anything you would like them to know before they travel and start their journey.
Sure. So I would say two things. First thing is, before you travel and enter a new place, make sure that it's a good place for you. There's going to be a lot of things you're leaving behind. First, you want to see if the economy is good, if the market is good, whatever you're pursuing, is there an opportunity there for you? Is there longevity? Is there a way for you to stay there for a long time, or however long you want to be there for? Is the economy doing good? And also there's other things to consider, like how easy is it to get a house, how easy is it to get a car, and also
Easy to get adjusted, let's say.
how easy is it to get adjusted, because that's a period of time that can be stressful for some people. It also takes a lot of money, and also on the other side, personally, you're gonna have family who wants to come visit you. How easy is it for your family to come and visit you?
Important as well, yes.
Because sometimes there's visa issues or something that's happening between them, and there's also a cost associated with that, and that's a lot of factors to consider. And ultimately, you have to weigh up all the pros and cons. So look at make a table. On the left side, you're going to say all the benefits, and on the right side, you're going to have all the disadvantages. Weigh them out, value them, and then see if that's a good decision for you. And that's my advice, definitely.
All right. Well, that was Asad Mirza, dear viewers. We hope you enjoyed this one. So basically, before we wrap the episode, we always take this quick break before we get back to you. So stay with us. All right, so that was Mr. Asad Mirza, dear viewers. He was genuine. He talked and gave us lots of beautiful stories and quotes here and there, and full of knowledge. This guy is disciplined.
Right.
He's inspiring. So
And he has that kind of sense of motivation
Yes.
where I really loved it when he say that each no that you actually get after more of, let's say, an interview is closer
To a
to
yes.
you to reach a yes. So yeah.
It's like mining for diamonds, and all what you get is stone,
Indeed.
stone, stone, and this is how closer you get to reaching the diamonds. But you never know when. But you have to keep going. So it's all about motivation. It's all about inspiring others. And yes, it was a beautiful episode. So we hope that you, dear viewers, enjoyed it. And of course, we wish to see you again in another episode of The Untold soon. Stay with us, and see you again later.